You know, I've realized over the last 2 years that nuance might just be my favorite word in the English dictionary. And it seems like in recent years, or in the last decade or so, people have completely casted away the entire concept of nuance. But okay, if you don't know somehow what is nuance, well, I'll read the Google definition for you and then I'll explain it in the way that it makes sense to me. Google says that nuance is a subtle difference in or shade of meaning, expression, or sound. That's a very delicate definition of the word. The way I would describe nuance is it is a word to describe a more in-depth manner of looking at a situation or describing a situation, right? If I were to say all VTubers are evil, that would not be a very nuanced take at all. That is a very black and white take. Let me preface this by saying I don't believe all VTubers are evil. This is just an example. A more nuanced version of that take would be, I believe all VTubers are evil because, and then you give your reasons, and the nuanced perspective demands that you consider the other perspective. The more I'm talking about this, the more I'm realizing this is just like argumentative English 101 that they teach you in high school. So you can probably see what I mean when I say that in the modern day, nuance is just dead. Like nobody seems to be capable of doing it anymore, especially on the internet. Whether it's games, movies, politics, nobody seems to want to have a nuanced discussion anymore. It seems like whenever there is a debate or an argument or just a topic of discussion, the majority of people feel the strong urge to pick a side. Everyone wants to be on a side, and what that usually translates to is people just who are on opposite sides not hearing each other out at all, not conceding any points to each other at all. And it's just not productive. It's so miserable to watch and be a part of. You know, when you see it in YouTube comment sections, but you see it in comment sections a lot. And sensationalism plays a big role in this as well, right? For example, if like Eurogamer or IGN comes out and says like, this game is the worst game to ever exist ever. And if some people very strongly agree with that statement and some people very strongly disagree with that statement, that sensationalism becomes the catalyst for a conversation with zero nuance. It is just people that feel very strongly about something but don't want to bother really explaining why they feel that way in a way that is productive or constructive. And look, I gotta say, social media has really amped this up. I would almost say social media has caused this. You know, whenever I hear people or older people or boomers say that like technology and social media is just making everyone stupid, I really try and defend the masses. I tend to be someone who believes that technology and social media can be something that is used for a lot of good, and that there is a lot of good to come from phones and social media and video games and movies. Like I think there is a lot of good to come from that kind of stuff. But goddamn, man, the more time you spend on the internet, the more you realize there is just a lot of dumb people out there. Like real capital D dumb. And a big reason why I say that is because you see people in comment sections or on forums or wherever giving the most no substance, no nuance takes just for the sake of being argumentative or sensational, or I don't know, feeling something or pissing someone off if they're trying to rage bait. It is brain rot to the nth degree. Maybe not. No, TikTok is brain rot to the nth degree. But again, I mentioned if you ever go into a comment section, you have all seen this before. Some of you may have even partaken in this before. It is just the most ludicrously stupid takes sometimes. Like, oh my God. In the 4 years or so that I've been a YouTuber, I have learned just through observing comment sections that there are some people out there who just truly have no desire to have a productive or meaningful conversation. And that sucks, because when enough people subscribe to that mentality of, well, let's just make this whole thing black and white, then nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. When YouTubers go out there and make big, flashy, sensational thumbnails with big red text that's supposed to evoke a certain emotion and really draw you to one side, or draw in a certain kind of people, it then becomes this like hive mind of people that all are validated by that thumbnail or that YouTuber's take. It's just very easy on the internet and on social media to get drawn into these hive minds, these groups of people that all subscribe to a certain way of thinking. And I feel like a lot of people forget that there are other perspectives out there that deserve to be considered. And the only good perspective is a nuanced perspective. There are very few instances where a black and white sensationalized take or perspective is the best way to be thinking about a situation or conversing on a situation. Like, okay, I might feel very strongly that Marvel Rivals sucks. I don't, by the way. I don't feel very strongly that Marvel Rivals sucks. Let's say you and I were initiating a little debate, a little conversation. Okay, why does Marvel Rivals suck? If I were to say some shit like, well, it's just microtransaction-filled Gooner slop, sure, I can feel that way, but that's not a very nuanced take if we're talking about the game itself. Like, if one person is coming in expecting a conversation on a game and the way that game plays, and then the other person is coming into that conversation just wanting to complain about this part of the game they really, really don't like, that's just thrown off the nuance of the conversation. Now it is just this guy, the guy that thinks it's all just microtransaction Gooner slop, which again, I'm not subscribing to one side of this argument. This is off the cuff, guys. That guy is just siphoning the nuance out of the conversation because he's got his mind made up. You're not gonna fucking convince him because he's thinking about it in a way that is just extremely black and white. And look, this probably is not the best example. This isn't scripted if you can't tell. But I don't think you need me to explain it to you. You've all seen it. It happens literally everywhere, especially on Twitter. Oh my God. I've never had a presence on Twitter. I've never ventured to Twitter really for anything. I don't understand why people do. Twitter is just like comment section extract. It's like they took all the bad shit from comment sections, filtered it through a strainer and put it in a bottle. That's Twitter. I don't understand why people touch Twitter. I will never understand that. I'm gonna wrap this up, but I think in general, it's just good to try and catch yourself. Self-reflection is always a good thing. I might even make a whole video about that. If you're entering a conversation with someone or a debate or anything of that matter, try and really consider perspectives that aren't your own, right? Consider why someone else might feel the way they do, even if it's different from your perspective. You don't have to agree with them, but in my opinion, your take is a lot more valid and your perspective is a lot more valid once you've considered, and not just considered, but really tried to understand the other side of things. Don't be the guy or girl that makes everything black and white. It's annoying, and nothing gets done that way. And I think the internet, especially our generation at large, would be a lot smarter and a lot more productive if we were just a little more nuanced. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so much for watching, and stay nuanced, I guess.